Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This follows on from the previous video I made, which is discussing Robert Pattinson's Batman. This is a rumour saying that Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav is going with the Snyderverse timeline for the DCEU. But we already have, this is where I don't really understand, we already have confirmation that they believe the Whedon cut is the Justice League cut, basically, that they're sort of adhering to, and not the Justice League Snyderverse version thing, that was re-released, whatever. So I'm a bit surprised by this. I think the framing of this is slightly wrong because, sure, it is the Snyderverse, but are they, continuing on from the Snyder cut? No, we know that. That's stated already. That was reports last week. So I'm a bit surprised, I guess, on the framing. I think it's slightly wrong. And also they're going to great lengths to sort of distance themselves from that core Snyderverse stuff as well. So now that David Zaslav and Discovery's takeover of Warner Brothers is complete, or close to it, the question of what's going on with DC cinematically is approaching an answer, which, yeah, it looks to be that way. We will start getting answers soon, just as films come out as a natural progression, really. Now, obviously, there's only two solutions. Two. So, restore the Snyderverse, sure, or don't, basically. So the rumour mill, where Mickey Sutton of Geekosity and Sil Abdul are, ramping around with rumours and speculations. I'm aware Mickey Sutton actually hops on Midnight's Edge, if I remember rightly. So you may have seen them talk about this. Maybe. But there's lots of speculation that restoring Zack Snyder timeline is exactly what Zaslav is going to do, according to a recent scoop by Abdul. Apparently that is what's happening. I disagree with this because we've already heard that they don't want to state that the Snyder cut is canon. That's not what they're working from. So if that is the case, then how are they... Again, we don't know. Obviously, that's still a rumour. But how do we know that that's the approach that they're taking, right? So Abdul says, based on what he's heard from his sources, Zaslav is sticking with the Snyderverse timeline, and the key indicator is Ben Affleck. Now, that I would agree with, because they're getting Ben Affleck back for Aquaman, and apparently The Flash as well. It might be reshot into that. So the Batman vs Superman and Justice League actor is returning for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom after some reshoots, and now that the film was put in a slot preceding the release of The Flash. So there is a thought pattern that he'll be on board to do some reshoots for The Flash as well. So I agree, yeah, Ben Affleck is back, but that could also be because Zaslav's like, fuck, this whole thing's so confusing. We've got The Flash, doesn't really make any sense. Is he a draw? Probably not. Let's get Ben Affleck in other films. He's a draw. He'll agree to it, whatever. But I've also heard from reports with respect to Ben Affleck coming back that it was never to say that he's going to be the future of it anyway, and that Michael Keaton was still the future. So it's all over the place. The Flash is all over the place, and I don't think we're ever going to get any real clear-cut plan, clear-cut ideas of the plan moving forwards until The Flash is released. Because The Flash is the movie that, regardless of what happens in Aquaman, The Flash can completely change everything moving forwards. Completely. So I think it's really important to sort of, slow your roll on a lot of this stuff. Until that film comes out. So Affleck allegedly replaces Michael Keaton. Again, I've heard that. Who was coming back to fill the Batman void. But that was supposed to begin with The Flash. Now the 89 Cape Crusader presence would be confusing, if not extraneous. But this is only the beginning. It is rumoured that Affleck is in reshoots for The Flash, as well as the film extra scenes. I haven't heard any of that. But, I've heard the rumour that he is. But I've not heard any actual clear-cut statements that he is. But, if he's on the Warner Brothers lot, he could just be filming reshoots for both The Flash as well as Aquaman, right? Pretty easy to do. The exact nature of those scenes is unknown, though the belief is they expand the actor's part of the film. So he'd already had parts in The Flash, and it was more like, oh, you need to come save me, blah, blah, blah. All this kind of weird stuff at the end, because the end of the film was just a complete mess. You've got Superman dead, Supergirl, the new Kryptonian on Earth, and Batgirl is there rather than Batman. It was literally just all over the show. Complete mess. So there was an additional rumour that Batfleck was going to die. Again, that's what I had heard until this idea was overruled and an end credit scene would show him flung into the future of the Snyderverse. Now that's actually what I've heard most recently. And that's the nightmare reality ruled by evil Superman and Darkseid. I hadn't heard that, but I had heard he would... Oh no, maybe that was what I heard. I know that he was going to be asking for help, so maybe that is what was implied by my source. Probably. According to Abdul, the clear implication is that Affleck has more to do and will stick around as Zaslav wants no other Batman than the one belonging to the DCEU. But that doesn't say that that's continuing, because the Nightmare scene was still in the Whedon cut. So it's not the Snyderverse specifically continuing, is it? If in that regard, I mean, it's however you want to split hairs with it, but it doesn't seem like that. So Zaslav, and also as well, if Henry Cavill doesn't come back, that's not the Snyderverse continuing. All right, it doesn't matter what you say. Zaslav chose Affleck because he wanted to keep the timeline. And then Mickey Sutton has also said from his sources, Warner Brothers Discovery wants to reload and not reboot the DCEU. But again, that's not sticking with the Snyderverse, is it? That's not. So Zaslav had the chance to reboot things with The Flash as it stood and Batgirl, and he didn't want the Flashpoint timeline. However, he shelved the latter because it either tested badly or they killed off Keaton's character unceremoniously. So whatever the case, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel, and BVS are going to be canon again, and the Snyderverse is going to be restored sooner than expected, says Abdul. I've heard the opposite of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I've heard that that's not what they're going with, so that's interesting. I mean, I've got clear-cut contradiction of that, so it'll be interesting. The only thing missing is Henry Cavill. That said that he doesn't want to do it anyway. So now Abdul heard this is affirmative, but we have to wait 2 months for Black Adam to release in order to find out, because they're basically saying, well, he's probably going to turn up as a post-credit scene, which maybe. But, I mean, if it's a post-credit scene where it's just his torso again, then it's not him, is it? So, we'll have to wait and see. Again, I've heard the opposite of a lot of this. I don't think it's a stretch to say they're looking to continue some elements. That's what we've heard anyway. But if they're not sticking with Snyderverse, the Snyder cut, being canon, then I would say that's not strictly the Snyderverse, because that is disregarding a lot of stuff, and I'm sure Snyder purists will hate that as well. Let me know what you think, though. Love to hear it. Cheers. Bye-bye. Also, ladies and gentlemen, consider checking out my Teespring store. Supporting the channel via this way does go a long way. But also, not only that, you do get to wear some awesome merch. These are one-of-a-kind designs designed for me by my graphic designer. We, of course, have our Clown World line, which is in mugs, hoodies, t-shirts. We've got Space Jeebus. And then for something a little bit different, we, of course, have right down at the bottom right here, we have our Pulsar GTIR. Also, ladies and gentlemen, consider checking out and supporting my second channel, which is Car Nonsense. This is a vlog and car channel. You can find links to this in the description box, along with my Teespring. Please do consider supporting.